Hello, everybody. Sorry for the little bit of lateness. We're having some weather. The good news is I can now go live from the, I think we're live. It says having trouble connecting, but it says we're live, and I think one person's waiting. Just bad weather. It's Florida, middle of the summer, actually. Yeah. We're really there. Even though I think summer just started in June, it's considered middle of the summer. I don't know. I just work here. We're going to bringing you the INDEE news, and we're going to go ahead and roll at the beginning. And hopefully by the time you guys get back, I'll have my co-host with me. So let me get you what you guys need to know. The good news is StreamYard now allows us to go live from phones. So if you guys misplaced me for a second, don't worry. I'll come right back onto the show when I get onto my phone. And my phone's right in front of me, so it'll only take a few seconds. So here we go. Let me roll the intro now that we're live.
This is COMiX Newswire giving you the buzz coming off the wire about the comic book industry. Turn that volume up and give us a few minutes to keep you in the loop of everything going on in the industry today.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start off with the big news going around, and that's the INDEE event and what's going on with that. And let's take a look over there. Like I said, some of the things are a little screwed up at the moment. I apologize for that. Right before I was going on, we had a lightning bolt hit, and it threw everything into disarray, and I'm still slowly getting things up. So actually, I think my co-host for today has showed up. Michael,
we are here.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
How's
Give me
it
a
going?
second to catch up. A little bit of weather down here in Florida caused some issues. So go ahead and introduce yourself. A minute to catch up.
It happens. Hey, guys, Michael Oden. I've been on Rob's show a few times now. I'm the creator and writer of Elysian Fields. You know, we're on Indiegogo right now, still in demand. Actually, fun little tidbit, I'll be unboxing the books tonight here on Indie Vault at 9 p.m., so make sure that you're there for that. Yeah, you know, you can find me on Facebook under my name, Michael Oden, or under Nine Realms Publishing. We have a Facebook page. On Twitter, you can find us at @ElysianFields_0. And Rob, thank you so much for having me on here today to co-host with you. It's always a pleasure being on one of your streams and getting a chance to shoot the shit about comics and industry news and everything like that.
Now, for those who don't know, Michael, you're going to be a co-host on one of the shows, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I believe we're doing a news segment on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Is that am I correct about that, Rob?
You are. You will be. And the reason we're starting off the show talking about this and letting everyone know Michael's the new co-anchor is, first off, we want to send our wishes out to Josh. Josh is still recovering after an ordeal, and we wish him the best. We can't wait for him to be back on the show. I don't want him back on the show until he feels he's ready to be back on the show, and he's up to 100%. So until then, we're going to have some fill-in. But what we wanted to do, and we noticed this, and it's just a good sign. We had a lot of news and a lot of people watching, but we weren't getting to everything we wanted to. So we wanted to expand it and have a bigger news program for both indie and the more mainstream. And I asked Michael to be part of the more mainstream indie, which will be on more mainstream news, which will be on Thursdays. Tuesdays will be independent news or indie news. So that's what we got going on. And speaking of it, you've seen this, haven't you? The brand new indie event that we're going to be doing in honor of what happened.
In fact, I am set up to do a panel on Sunday the 12th at 1 p.m. About I believe it's writing theory and script writing, concept theory and script writing, like creating your story and everything and getting it fleshed out into a script.
Very cool. We'll also have Silverline, Geek and Cheeky. Our good friend Brian K. Morris, Meredith Logren is in charge of all this. Chuck's going to be there. Katarine's going to be there. Phil Locklear, Geek Insider. Randy's going to be doing a special breakfast buzz. Indie Volt is going to be doing a bunch of shows. NSC, and of course myself. So, and that's just who we've announced. Of course, Michael's going to be added very soon. And it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be a good event. It's thrown together. I'm going to be honest with everybody. This was an idea that was, last Thursday when we found out the horrible news that we were going to lose basically Tampa Bay Comic-Con. And it was like, well, I went to Meredith and I said, Meredith, weren't you guys going to do something at Geek Insider in July? And she was like, yeah, but we stopped because of the Tampa Bay Comic-Con. I was like, well, how long would it take you to get that back up? And she's there like, really? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So that was Thursday, and now we've gotten, I believe, over 16 hours of actual programming already ready to go, already starting out, being big. So that's some big indie news that we're not just going to lie down and take 2020. I know 2020 is going to keep beating us up, but it's our job to keep standing up and saying we will not go into the night, you know. And of course, I'm using the Independence line because not only was it super great, but it's true. We're not just going to take this line down. And of course, our for also indie news that we didn't really get to talk about much. The site looks completely different. Comic Book Advocates has its own unique site. It's distanced from the original Indie Advocates site. Whole new setup. You get a really simple, simplistic setup here. We're very proud of this. We're going to continue to bring you guys something that is better and easier for you guys to interact and be part of the community that we are building around Comic Book Advocates. We wanted it to be super user-friendly. On our show today, of course, we're going to be talking about ethics. And we're going to open up the chat, as a matter of fact, right now. We're going to dedicate the whole last half an hour to talking about ethics and stuff, maybe 20 minutes. We'll see how we catch up with the news. But I'm going to invite anyone to talk about it, anyone who wants to have a conversation about it to come on in and talk about it. We're going to try to let everyone do this. And while Michael tells us about his unboxing and what time and where he can find it right now, I'm going to go make sure that we're live and able to be shared, because a lot of times this makes it my thing. So I'm going to back out. I'm going to let you just tell them real quick what you got going on today.
All right. So today is a big day. I got the shipment from our publisher, Hero and Villain Design. The nice 3 boxes of our hollow foil cover books and the Jim O'Reilly pinups. And I haven't opened them. I've been good. It's been very tempting, but they're just sitting here staring at me, and I'm just like, oh God. But so tonight I'll be on Indie Vault with Varian and Randy and everybody and that whole crew. And at some point during that stream, we'll be doing a live unboxing, and I might even share a few other little things with everybody, depending on how things are going, how I'm feeling. But we've already been starting production on that next book for Elysian Fields, and I've already gotten a few pages of interior art for that. So who knows? Maybe some of that might show up on that stream as well. But yeah, that'll be tonight at 9 p.m. EST, and we'll be excited to have you guys. Indie Vault's programs. If you haven't watched it yet, you're doing yourself an incredible disservice. It's always a good time over there, or at least we have a good time. And it's just a bunch of people who love this industry, love comics, love everything about this creative industry, just talking about it and answering an occasional question or two, but just having a good time and paying attention to the comments and replying to people writing in. And so yeah, tonight at 9 p.m. we'll be unboxing one of these boxes, and I'll be showcasing the beautiful Elysian Fields Deluxe hollow foil that every single backer from the initial campaign will be getting, and that there will only be 140 or so left by the time we fulfill this initial wave. So you got to make sure that you're getting on that Indiegogo and hitting the one of those perks with the hollow foil, because when they're gone, they're gone. We're not making any more after that. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Let's get into some of the news. Of course, you'll be making it tonight. And one of the things we're going to be talking about a little bit on the show, we're not going to beat this one to death because we've talked about it already, but this Men in Comics Say No, the movement to stop female creators getting taken advantage of, abused, and treated as objects instead of human beings.
It's really getting out of hand.
It's been out of hand. We're just seeing it.
Well, yeah, but it's getting more publicly out of. Like I know yesterday, this was more on the mainline side of things, but it goes into this topic. But Mags Visaggio tried to accuse Sean Gordon Murphy of grooming for essentially just giving her a pep talk when they first met.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, there's more to that story, but that's mainstream news. I
know. I realize that. Like I said, as I said, I know that that's a bit more into the mainstream end of it, but like it does fit into that topic. But anyways,
so we're gonna stick with indie right now. We're gonna get into the independent side of the news today. Go ahead.
No, that's a good point. And I do think that it's this thing that's kind of gotten a bit out of hand. For me, it's always been, the way that the system is supposed to work is you're innocent until proven guilty, for one.
But we can talk about that later. Let's get into the indie news right now.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that in a little bit. But here we are. Let's talk about this. We talked about the independent. I'm still on Kickstarter. I haven't been pushing this a lot because there's going to be some news coming out from Terraform Comics in a few weeks about this. And I have a Kickstarter starting. I was going to start it this week. I got approved, but I don't think it's a good week with July 4th. I think it's just a good week to step away. I think we'll just kickstart it Monday or Tuesday. I've got the green light. Might as well go for it and, deal with it on the new week. Never start before our holiday. Dan Noakes brings us on Sunday, July 12th. It hatches a 104-page color graphic novel. It's going to be pre-orders. I don't think he's kickstarting it. I think this looks like it's just going to be something that you can purchase.
That looks good.
How's that looking? And that's witty sense of humor, kind of, satiric humor.
Yeah. Satiric, yeah.
Would be him. That's the type of stuff he goes for. So definitely check it out. What else we got? We got Leagues of Impossibility. Now, I asked them to tell me what it was about. Honestly, I was a little confused by it. John P. Pica says that League of Impossibilities are time-traveling paranormal heroes. The space-time continuum from supernatural forces of evil, cosplay, comics book series, and live appearances support the mission. It's a Patreon. I did ask for more clarification. They said that they are going to have a book published on Comixology and available in print from my publisher as part of a book series, The Tale of the Corvus? The Corvus? The Corvus. And I still don't fully understand it. I think it's just a bunch of cosplayers telling about their adventures in a comic book on Patreon, and there'll be a web comic and a comic book associated with it and a PDF. Not my thing. Nothing against anyone else. If I want a comic, I read a comic, and I don't pay Patreon for people to read me a comic. Just how I feel. But I think it's a good idea. Any thoughts on that? Do you think that there's going to be a market in the future for people cosplaying their characters out and a camera without actually doing any of the action? Like old school readings on radios that you're watching?
Maybe. It depends on how, I know that there are some cosplayers that have their OCs that are that have blown up and gone viral. And so for people like that, I feel like you could probably market that just because people enjoy seeing them be in those personas at conventions. And so if you partnered with somebody that could like really write a good story for it, and you did a dramatization on radio, or did like a little web comic about your OC, I could totally see that doing well. But like they're very select cases. I feel like when you get into cosplay, it's obviously like a really big thing, but like a lot of it is obviously being characters that already exist. And so that, like, if you tried to do series on that, you could really run into some nasty stuff copyright for copyright.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be an original comic book.
Yeah.
We're going to have to wait and see. I wish them the best of luck. It's just not for me. If I'm going to watch something, I want to watch it, or I want it to be entertaining, and I don't want to have to pay for it. I want it to sell me. I'd rather the commercial way. But that's just me again. That's just how I am. I'd rather the comic. If I'm watching shows like this, I even a lot of times will listen to it in the background and then stop and look while I'm working. So I get the importance of these shows, and especially us trying to bring you the news. So I'm not trying to at all discourage anyone from trying something different. If it works, great. Yeah. This is kind of a weird thing. It's Vikings versus Barbarians action figures. It's not our normal thing. They're selling figures, so God bless them. Let them go.
Those things can be doing figures are super expensive. So I mean, all power to them.
Yeah, and this is one of those things that just always kind of when I'm talking to you all about promoting yourselves, right? I asked people for the news. David Whalen, who's been on the show, great guy. He says, "Thanks, Rob," and he just drops a link. Now, if your link automatically opens up, like Cat Dad and Supermom, an Elephant never forgets. See, you know this is Indiegogo, you know where you're going. If this is just a website, you might not know as much. Are you more intimidated, especially nowadays with viruses and stuff, to click a link if you don't fully understand it, Mike?
Not really. I think a lot of that has to do with it, being that this is the era where everyone is expecting a virus down every corner. I have a whole bunch of malware detecting software. So like if there were something like that, the malware would that software would kick in and do its job. But I understand wanting to have your own site and everything like that. And I think that it's a necessary part of the platform. And there are certain books that have made it to that point where they can totally do that. But like,
I think you got to do an intro, though. I think it's just right to do an intro. I think with Kickstarters and Indiegogos, you kind of have to, because your pitch line, more so in Kickstarter. I give a lot of credit to Kickstarter. Your actual pitch line goes through, while in Indiegogo, you just get through. Yeah. But I mean, it still works. And of course, we know David, so I clicked the link. I knew where we were seeing, so we've been there. And you get late. I just wish he had given us some reason for people to click, because I'll click it, but I'm afraid other people will be like, well, what's this?
Yeah, and that is a good point, because we know David Whalen's a legit dude, but like somebody that isn't really in this community might see that and be like, I don't even see, like, there's not even like a bio on that link when you have it, and I do think that that's a mistake. I think that you hit the nail on the head with that.
And it's our industry. Our industry has gotten real lazy about everything we do, except for, it's funny, everyone wants to compete with pricing with Marvel and DC. Everyone wants to get the covers like Marvel and DC. Everyone wants to mimic the size of Marvel and DC, the page count of Marvel and DC, do everything like Marvel and DC, except for the promotion that Marvel and DC does, which they never put anything out without some sort of descriptor.
Yeah.
This is a message. You got to make sure you don't want to be left behind. Remember, this isn't about you sharing it with people who know you. This is always about sharing it with people who don't know you.
Exactly.
A lot of credit to James here. James says, Starbolt #1, now available, hard copies. Just go to my PayPal him, and you get your copy for $10 per 35 pages of full-color magazine. Now, of course, this is where it gets confusing. If anyone knows that you have to get a book, you know it has to be an even number. So how's it 35 pages? So now you start to wonder, well, is it 35 story pages, which is what I'm assuming?
Yes.
So good for him. But I mean, does he count the cover? Does he not? That's the whole thing we were talking about with page counts, how confusing they are in the industry.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day we get our act together and we actually have it. But this looks really good. This is great.
Yeah, that's a really cool cover. It's very dynamic. It's got a lot of emotion in it, and I love the use of color. It's very pretty. Yeah.
All right, and I'm just switching over. For some reason, I hate this about Facebook. The messenger always pops up. So if anyone sent me a messenger, it sends me up, and I don't want to dox anyone with the information they're sending me. So I back out for a second and go back in. So here we go. This is our site on Facebook. If you don't know about it, it's the Comic Book Advocates Network page, and this is where you guys can upload your information. And if we find something that is really cool, we'll put it on our site, especially formatted like a press release. Press releases are so important. Like what we just saw. We saw a very simple, hey, this is how many pages, this is where you buy it, this is the cost. That's a good enough press release right there. Everyone confuses a press release to be a bio or a sheet or that. No, some press releases are, hey, heads up, we just hired X to be in X and Y movie. This is the release date. That's a simple press release, but it's information. It hits your boiler points. That's really what you want to do. Everything you do you want to have hit boiler points. So let's see what we got. So we got some Dan Sheen thing here with Pink Panther and Rooster review. Let me ask you a question. And I do assessments now. I gave up doing reviews. So I do an assessment. I rip apart a book. I find a mistake. I talk to the creator. I try to figure out what that mistake was. If it's just poor quality, I don't bother, and I just go live and I go, okay, there's some major problems here. Do you believe reviews actually help sales? Because I'm always nervous when I'm starting my Devil's Due show that I'm going to incidentally hurt someone, and I don't want to incidentally hurt someone. But I don't want to.
Yes and no.
Okay, go for it.
I didn't mean to cut you off there. So I don't think that in the indie community, a negative, a review that is written in a way where even if the person writing the review didn't like the book, it's constructive and what have you, isn't going to necessarily hurt the book, because a lot of people who are going to back that book are going when it comes down to the indie community, if you're backing a project, you're backing it because you're interested in it, and that's not going to take away from you wanting to go read the book. Now, if the book turns out to really be that bad, then that's on the creator themselves, and they'll lose that demographic going into the future, unless they really step up their A game. But like good reviews in the indie community are like vindication stamps, There are things where somebody would be on the fence and be like, I don't know if I want to spend that much money for this. This looks cool, but maybe this guy's first book, or maybe he wrote something else that person didn't quite like. And so they're going to wait till some other people have opinions about it, and then they hit the that button to get the project.
Speaking of projects, we do want to talk about Relaunch Zombies. Do you know what's going on with this?
No, I don't. I actually haven't heard about this.
All right, so I want to get your opinion of this video. I like it when no one knows what we're talking about, because then you can get almost a more honest telling of exactly what they see. So here we go. I'm not going to say another word. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Austin Janowski. I'm the writer and creator of the comic book series Zombies Were Human Too, telling zombie stories before and how they became zombies. And this is the relaunch of Volume 2 of that series. So the kids are able to escape from the one building to the next building via a ladder that they found on the roof. From there, they try to escape through the building down to the bottom floor and out. Unfortunately, it's now become infested with zombies. So as they're trying to get their way down, they are forced yet again into a situation where they have to save themselves, and they find a storage cellar, which turns out to be a safe room. But see, the bigger question is, whose safe room is it, and are they coming back? So for Volume 2, it's another 100-page graphic novel. color for the main stories, black and white for the zombies. And we have some of the top indie writers and artists that are working on this book. And we cannot be more excited to have them involved. And the last thing I want to say is thank you. Thank you so much for taking a minute watching this video all the way to the end, checking out the Kickstarter and the rewards, and backing this project. To be honest with you, I didn't think we were going to be able to relaunch. I mean, a couple months ago, who knew what was going to be happening? So the fact that we're able to is absolutely amazing. We got a great book with great art, story, cover art, and we lowered the rate we needed in total to fund this book specifically because we wanted to make sure we got it in your hands. So thank you so much for taking a minute of your time. Please keep being safe and take care.
All right. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's a solid video. I think that he probably should have ended it when he thanked the audience the first time. I thought that was a really good. That would have been where I capped it to be to have it be, and like he did thank it again, thank the audience again. But like that first time, I was like, oh, that was really good. And I mean, the art looks phenomenal. It looks like a great book. I don't know how it didn't get funded the first time because just looking at that stuff.
He paused it the first time.
He paused it. Okay,
yeah, because
I was about to say because I don't know enough. Like I've heard about this guy because he joined Terraform.
Yeah,
right?
he explains. I can clear it up. He was kickstarting when the pandemic started, like I was, and a lot of us during that thing we really didn't know what to do. We were being told doom and gloom. Everyone was panicking, and that's the only word you could really do. And was it ethical? And we're going to be talking about ethics in a little bit. Was it ethical for us to continue to crowdfund? It was a difficult moment for a lot of creators. I almost pulled my campaign, and we'd been successful, but I didn't promote it anymore. I stopped literally promoting my Kickstarter. It's the worst thing you can do when you're crowdfunding is to not promote it, but I still stopped promoting it because I felt guilty. He pulled his. And the only reason I didn't pull mine was because someone had told me, hey, look, don't tell people how to spend their money. That's never your job. Your job is to put a book out. Is it a quality book? I was like, yes, sir. Then they were like, then you get your book out there and you shut up. And so that's what I did. I got my book out there, but that's kind of the story behind it. So he came back. I gave him a lot of credit. I think that's why he felt he had to explain it, and I get that.
No, and that's completely valid. No, I was about to say, like, because I was about to say when I was looking at this, like, how on earth didn't you get? Because it's gorgeous and it looks really cool. I'm not even a huge like zombie guy, and I'd go read this. The art in it's fantastic. He's got a really good lineup of creators writing in it. I'd be down. You know, I do get where he was coming from because, you know, when I launched Elysian Fields, I thought that I did it. I thought, you know, the pandemic started and I was like, man, this was the wrong time to do it. But then we blew up.
It's because there was less competition. People were still hungry. And a lot of people didn't realize that there was a market that was still there that people were afraid to tap into. And
especially with the lack of mainstream books.
Yep. That's it. People went to it. Now, this was a book that was put out. It's got a long story, but the end result is it got put out. This is getting shipped, 40% of it. We like a success story. We like the fact that someone came from behind. This is from Sword of Justice. My editors told me Sword of Justice #1 is 40% shipped, and the incentive pack arrived in his office, so it's all good news. That's what we like to hear on this show, that things are moving forward.
Okay.
Did you know about that story?
No, I didn't. I am new to a lot of the indie side of these things, so it's cool because I'm getting filled. Like I know a little bit on certain things, but like the majority of the stuff that I learn about, I learn from either watching, you know, Indie Vault. I learned from watching you on COMiX Advocate, and so like. There's a lot of this stuff that I'm just kind of finding out about, and it's really cool. But there is a lot of backlog.
Well, we'll put it this way: the simplest way to put it is that there was a bad operator doing bad things. They didn't do the right thing in the contract. This person's name was under the ground. Let me put it on the right screen. This person's name was dragged through the mud a little bit. So them doing this showed they didn't give up. That's why I wanted to point it out. They didn't give up. They didn't accept it. We're going to bring on Luke in just a minute to talk to us about ethics, but we just do want to wrap up what we're talking about. So we're running a little behind on our scheduled time.
That's fine.
And I want to show you guys this pretty cool art. Look at that art.
It's cool. What series is this for?
I don't know yet. It's from COMiX.
Is it Absolver Wrath of Vengeance? Is that what it is?
Yes, and it's available now at the site. So you can actually buy this book. It's already done.
Yeah, well, good for you guys. I will probably be throwing some money that way here soon.
And then this looks cool.
It looks interesting. I don't really know what's going on. I mean, I guess, he's doing a web comic, so like it's a super serialized format, releasing page by page.
Yeah, it's Steamroller, man. I have asked for again, some way to promote it so I could understand it. You have to understand, half the times I don't understand how to do this other than, hey, this looks cool. I mean, I don't want to go live with someone like that. But on this show, we can actually showcase that. So now it's up to you. If this looks interesting, check out the link right there. And again, you can find all this at comicbookadvocates.com. And we have a live Kickstarter for All-Star Comic. I don't even know what this is. This is new to me. We'll give them the disclaimer and see if they want to be on our show. By the way, tomorrow, as a programming note, we should have had the 7 reasons to back it. But because of last week, because I went and did a video without a shirt on and it got 300 views, we didn't really do the Kickstarter normal show that we do. So instead, we're gonna do our Kickstarter pause because it's a weekend, and we don't have a lot of Kickstarters live. Again, no one's going to Kickstarter. Everyone's doing shorter Kickstarters. They're making money. They're cleaning up. I don't know why you guys aren't launching. But we do want to congratulate a few people. We're going to congratulate Ruben Romero for his Kickstarter success. We look, some more webcomics. See, webcomics seem to be going strong as ever. And this is a webcomic by George, and he's doing great stuff. Continuing, no pencils down. We got some Round Boy Comics selling some comics. See, the industry's not dead. It continues. Coming soon, we're going to have the SPIs among us. I think they've already said that they're okay with our rules. Some more Dan Sheen stuff. And we got some art right now, and I don't know if
that's Bakugo from My Hero Academia. It's a really good show.
Okay, I don't even know. So Sword of Justice. This is going to be for the second book that's coming out. So again, continuing to see the forward motion. That's what we want to see. Forward motion. Here's all the rewards being out there, showing that their rewards are getting out.
That is a gorgeous book, really. At least that cover was. I'll have to go take a look and do some more investigating into that. But like, it looks great.
365 views right after the first ever Devil's Advocate program. This is where we're going to be talking about heavier topics, and we're going to be, as I'm rushing now, as you guys can see, to make sure we stay on time. That's the show where we take one topic and really explore it. So it gives us time. So thank you all for all of you who tuned into that first show. It was a pretty powerful show. Thank you for Randy for being on it. And, of course, thank you for Indie Vault and, by default, Varian Grant and Krista Grant for allowing me to have a program on their network. So this is some more stuff from George. Okay, so this is our last announcement. Then we're going to get into it. Bring in our good friend Luke Stone is waiting in the green room. This is congratulations to Jonathan Hedrick for his capable success, showing he was capable. Like father, like daughter, had Catherine Calamio kicking ass and taking pledges. Like that, right? And Moby Dick, there was one hard dick against the Kickstarter goal. And yes, I went there. I certainly went there. And
oh god.
and the demon bitch told everyone off on Kickstarter, and it's successfully funded. So congratulations for Christy Shen. Some great creators knowing that it's time to do it. And by the way, this is from our friend Matt Shore. Great creator, really interesting idea. Zombie dicks. I mean, how can you go wrong when you have zombie dicks? All right, we're going to bring in Luke Stone. The perfect time to bring in Luke Stone right after saying that.
Oh, God.
Luke, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Luke Stone, and I came in at the wrong time. That's just how it goes, right? My name is Luke Stone. I'm the editor-in-chief over at Terraform Comics. Be sure to check out terraformcomics.com. Sign up for the mailing list. I am also the creator, writer behind Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, and some other things that you're going to be seeing coming out this summer, as well as the artist behind a little project called Voodoo Nations. So that'll be starting out on Kickstarter here real soon. Check that out.
All right, so we're going to be talking. This is our main topic today. We're going to be talking about the lack of. And let me get this title right, because it took me a couple of minutes, like a tongue twister. So let me make sure I say it right. This is going to be the lack of ethics, integrity, and personal responsibility within comics. I wanted to touch on this because a lot has been coming up lately. I don't know if it's because of the pandemic and people have been inside too long by themselves, but there's been a lot of shitty behavior online, and I wanted to just take a minute and kind of talk about the good and the bad and the ugly. And we started off at the beginning of the show talking about that, and you had made a point, Michael, that you're innocent until you're proven guilty, and this is what I wanted to say about that. While I normally agree with you, what happens when the police won't do anything?
And that's fair.
It's against the law. It's really happening. But a lot of times women are told, well, you don't have a strong enough case, so I guess you're just going to have to eat it. Men as well. Men have a lot of trouble with rape charges. As a matter of fact, 90%.
They have a harder time than women, because the what is legally constituted as rape includes penetration, and not to throw that out there as an unpleasant, but like that's what it is. And so from a man's standpoint, it is like if a man is raped or sexually assaulted, it is a lot more difficult to win that case in court.
Well, even with penetration, let's not forget our prison systems. Our prison systems are overrun with rapes that do never get prosecuted.
Yes.
So it is felt on all sides, but not even just rape. What happens when you do have a situation where an older creator is deliberately grooming? Now, look, I'm 40. I'm dating. What if I meet an 18-year-old? Am I ethically allowed to date an 18-year-old? Is that against the rules? Am I wrong? I mean, Luke, you're a parent. Am I a bad guy for dating an 18-year-old girl?
Well, you're technically not. It's technically not illegal.
Yeah, no, that's what I was about to say. Is it's technically not illegal because they are a legal consenting adult.
But there's an ethical line. It
does come off as skeevy.
Yeah, it's icky.
But why? Why is it actually icky? And that's a serious question. It's one that I really.
Well, at 40 years old, you could have a daughter who's 18.
Oh, yeah. That I understand. But I mean, again, what value are we putting on people? Because let's be honest. I'll be honest with you. I've dated girls in their 40s now that don't have half of the actual maturity an 18-year-old that I knew back when I was 18, back when I was hanging out when I was 18. They had more maturity than what these 40-year-olds are showing now. And there's always been a history of a younger woman and an older man. So the reason I started really young at 18 is because that sounds so wrong, right? It really does. Like, realistically, even for me, I hear a girl say she's 19. I don't care how much she's flirting with me. I'm like, I can't. I just, like you said. But if someone's 22, that's still a big gap for me. That's still 18 years, Luke. Why does that suddenly seem to be okay?
Well, see, for me, it's not okay. I actually know someone who married someone who's just shy over half of their age, and for me, it's just you just kind of wonder where the motivation is behind that, Again, it's one of those things. It's not illegal, but I just feel like there's kind of like that ethical piece. I mean, in some cultures, 30, 40-year-olds are marrying off 12, 13-year-olds, and it's fully acceptable. But I think here in America, we have a problem with that, and I think because there seems to be a morality around it that just is not, it's hard to define because each person's kind of compass is a little different, but there's just kind of, I'm going to go back to the word, it's just kind of icky. It's like, why wouldn't you want someone that is going to be on the same maturity level that you are?
Well, let's be honest. My maturity level is probably in my 20s.
Yeah. Well, and so this is where I would put it is I think that the big thing that comes into play here between the whole age thing is life experience. At 40, you have access to knowledge that you didn't have when you were 18. And it's not the other way around. And I think in particular, when it comes to that industry and why you had a lot of these things come up is because it's not okay when somebody that's in their 40s is taking that life experience that they have and are abusing it to get something out of someone younger.
But what if they really love someone who's younger then? Because you're talking about abuse. Because I know people who dated someone who is much younger than them, but to this day adore them. I mean, they put them on a pedestal. They respect them. They treat them as a partner. Do we have the right to even involve ourselves in a personal relationship if there is no laws? Do we have the right to tell people? Like, because everyone's got a different metric for how younger you can date. And it suddenly changes when it's a woman. When a woman's dating a younger man, it's a joke. It's not a big deal.
So to me, I think it's a whole thing of, we each have our own little lines of morality, but I think there is something to be said when it comes down to until the flag of abuse is raised, there is a level of respect that we have to put towards one another, as far as, we're not going to get involved with somebody else's romantic life. It's not our place, unless I know that person, unless I have knowledge that the person, like say Rob, if you were dating somebody that I knew and I knew that person had a very disreputable past and had done some very shady things to people that I cared about, that's the only time I would involve myself, is when it became a matter of character. But when it comes down to the whole aging, so long as it's done within because there is nothing that you can do outside of be like, I mean, that's not how I would handle things. It's not what I agree with. But at the end of the day, if there is no law against it, what are you going to do? You're going to alienate somebody that you've been friends with for a long time because they have feelings for somebody that is younger? I mean, I can't really fault that. I think my big thing is that from what I have seen, is the majority of the time, a lot of it is you've got an older guy who sees a younger attractive girl, and so what I have noticed is it is, for I guess not even far more common. There is generally a initial thought that goes through everyone's head that they are using what they have that they didn't have when they were 18.
Yeah, but isn't the 18-year-old in reverse using their older person to learn more? Aren't we supposed to seek knowledge? Isn't knowledge attractive? Shouldn't someone be attracted to someone's older? What do you think, Luke? You've been a little quiet on this. And let's wrap this up, because we do have 3 other topics I want to hit within this. I want to get it within an hour. Luke.
So there was a 13-year age difference between my mom and my dad, and my dad was the younger, and they loved each other for 30 years until my mom passed away. And so I think love is it's a difficult thing to define for people. And if a law is not being broken, it's none of our business. If both parties are consenting, and that consent has been given, I think that that the romantic feelings can stem from friendships and things like that. I think it's absolutely possible. Me personally, I don't want to go for someone that's half my age, but that's my own personal morality. Not that, you can't force those kind of views on people as long as it's not breaking a law. It's none of our business, and we just need to stay out of it. It's not my place.
Okay, that's fair enough. But here's where we're going to get to. I want to give the advice to those watching right now. If you're a man, and we'll each get this, and we'll keep it quick. I'll say this: if you're a guy and you're worried about, or a woman and you're worried about who you're dating, date people for the right reasons, and it'll never matter. As long as you're, like Luke said, you're not breaking a law. I don't care. My friends have brought around 18-year-olds. They ask my opinion of them, I'll give my opinion. I've known some younger women who have had to raise their family, had to grow up very quickly, and they're very mature. And a lot of those women, they wind up getting married real young, and they're not on the board anymore. A lot of the older women who have gone through life for the whatever reasons, I've come off sometimes bitter to older men, and I'm not saying it's always true, but I'm saying that that's one of the things that men do get a little nervous about, and even women. I've heard women bitch about older men who are divorced, and they're so cranky and all that. So you have to have your heart open to the right person. Never take advantage of anyone is my thing. And I do think that if you're a man over the age of 30, you shouldn't be dating an 18-year-old, even because you don't understand. There are many different aspects of life And at 18, you don't really understand it yet unless you've been out working. Like, these are people who will be like, well, why do I need a checking account? You don't want to have those conversations as a grown-ass adult. What do you think, Michael?
I think you hit the nail right on the head. Like, that'd be a pretty awkward thing to be dating somebody at this point, and then be like, like even if they were in a position where like they were short of funds for and needed help, and be like, well, okay, how do you want me to wire it to you? And they're like, what's that? I've never had to do that. Why can't you just, I do think that there's something to be said where it comes down to when you have a certain amount of life experience, there is a certain threshold that you need somebody that has a solid amount of life experience themselves, because otherwise you're effectively in this very weird thing where you're almost you could be put in a situation where you're effectively parenting somebody as well as being in a relationship with them, and I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Luke, did you want to add on to
it? Yeah, I did. So here's the thing. Marriage is a partnership, and really that's what you're looking for. The biblical term for it, they call it in scripture a help mate. So a mate that helps you. And Michael, what you were saying about the whole idea that you don't want to feel like you're that you're parenting someone. That's exactly true. You don't want to get into a situation to where when you need someone to be your partner, you feel like you're the one that is parenting them, because that can create an unhealthy dynamic. And so as the younger person starts to grow and into a position where they can be a partner, you're going to continue to place them into that same in that same role as a child or as an inferior and not as an equal. And it is very important that that when you're in a relationship with someone, that you can look at them as an equal, as a partner through it all. And maybe they're going to be better at you as one thing today, and you'll be better than them at another thing tomorrow. But another thing to also think about is, I know a lot of mature 18-year-olds that do know how to wire money and how to do all that kind of stuff, but to be entirely honest, when I was 18 years old, I wasn't ready to make the life choices that I'm ready to make at 40. I just wasn't.
And that's true. And there's some 40-year-olds who don't know, and there's a maturity factor. Relationships are complicated. And that's why it really shouldn't be up to us. It should be up to you to find the right relationships. But if you're taking advantage of someone, I think everyone on this panel agrees, you're an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, Luke Stone, we're gonna switch gears a little bit to get to the second of the two left things. Accusations, unfounded. People just throwing around words. It's become very, very popular to accuse someone without, as the kids call it, the receipts to back it up. How bad is that for the industry right now? Because I'm seeing people losing jobs. I'm seeing people not getting funding because of lies, flat out lies. And for the record, I've had some of that happen to me and confronted a lawyer because some of them were egregious lies. And a lawyer flat out told me, not only do you have to prove damages, but they have to be able to pay you for those damages. Is it really worth you spending all your money and waiting 30 years for them to repay you just for what they're saying about you on social media? It doesn't matter. So we're in a time frame where right now people get away with it. Now I have a simple solution, which I'll tell at the end, but I want to hear you guys, what your opinions on about these people spreading false rumors and just twisting narratives to make people enter a word, a Nazi, a snowflake. What is it now? What are the Karens and boomers and all these things that are dividing us, and there's all the hate speech that goes with that. There's all the little hidden rubs and digs, and me and Luke have experienced some of that with some things that we've recently gone through, not with each other as opposed to against each other, but together against another side of someone telling something wrong. So how did we get here, and how do we solve that, Luke? How do we become better?
Well, here's the thing, that's bad. You ask, is it bad for the industry? It is, but it's bad for civility more than anything. You see, we've seen tactics like this before. It's called identity. They pit people against one another, and it's actually a Marxist kind of behavior If we're going to be entirely honest, for those who have read a history book, will recognize that every, that there's been regimes and things that's happened to cause this and to pit people against each other. If we don't stop just throwing labels at one another, we're not just going to destroy the comics industry. We're going to destroy our freedom and our civility. And the only way to do that is to start drawing some very serious lines with one another and say, look, there's certain things you don't call someone unless you've got proof of it. You don't call someone a rapist unless you know that they are a rapist. You do not call someone a racist unless you know for certain they are a racist. You don't call someone a pedophile unless for certain you know someone is a pedophile. You don't call someone an abuser unless for certain you know that they are an abuser. There are just certain things that you should say that we have crossed the line so much in our society now where we don't give a care if we have the proof or not. We want to label them these things because it makes us feel better to label them this, because we want to essentially cancel them. I think we're seeing that happen a lot, this cancel culture. And it's just incredibly disturbing to watch this kind of stuff happen. And I don't know what the answer is, the way to come back from it. Unless the answer is that we all just start working together to say, let's just say that first off, those are terms that are reserved for the most vile of people, and we don't throw those terms around lightly.
Mike?
So I was actually talking to a buddy of mine about this here the other day. And he pointed something out that I felt kind of was perfect, where people have stopped identifying as individuals and identify as collective groups. And this has created a very dangerous thing where there's always an enemy. And that's not a healthy outlook. And it's caused a lot of rough stuff. And I think probably one of the worst examples I've seen of this recently was there was somebody, even on his panel that I saw, was in a discussion with somebody online where he was trying to address being accused of being a white nationalist. And the guy said, well, I didn't say you were a white nationalist. I said you looked like one. How is that any different than me looking at, Luke, and because he has a beard and everything, being like, oh, he's some crazy hillbilly from the mountains.
That's not necessarily entirely wrong, but
but you get what I'm saying though. It's if you are judging somebody, judging somebody based off of a physical appearance without getting to know them as know their character, and throwing those those labels around, you're not doing anyone any favors. You're creating a hill that no one needed to die on.
Yeah. Well, I do think I have the solution, and it's really simple. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe everyone on this panel believes in freedom of speech, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's one problem with freedom of speech. When you speak freely in your community, people get to know you. Online made it safe for people to say stupid things and hide behind anonymity. I know I said it wrong. I'm not going back. That word always fucks with me. You know what I meant. So that the ability to not be known empowers people. So here's my solution. And I hate government, but I still think that everyone should have to register for social media where everyone can see what you post. That means your mom could see what you post. Your schools can see what you post. Jobs can see what you post. You get assigned a number, and that's who you are. You do that in America, like that, everything changes the next day. Everyone suddenly learns how to behave online. We're public figures. We can't run and hide from what we say. We're expected to have everything thrown back at us. When people made accusations of me, I kept waiting. We'll show the receipts. I know that there was one person who said I had called them a disparaging word based on their color, and I'm not even going to go into what the word is because I don't use it. And then people were like, he said that? I've never seen him say that. When did he say that? He's like, oh, he said it in private. Someone was like, you've never met him in private. You've never been in private with him. Oh, he's in my messenger. Okay, show us the screenshot. Oh, he just looks like a person. So it started with, like Michael had said, it started with I'm going to accuse someone of something. Oh, but then it goes to he looks like someone who would say that. That's bullshit. And you only did that because not everyone really knows you. You don't think people can check you out. But if everyone gets to know who you are and that stays on you, it'll hurt your just to be that person. It's going to make other people not trust you because you were backtracking so far. You went into a new country. And that's a problem because these idiots can do this and delete their profile and start over again when they realize, well, I'm more mature now. I like the fact that the YouTubers are being held accountable right now for their blackface. I hope every one of them gets sued by YouTube and gets money back. I hope people sue YouTube for allowing these people to get 200,000 followers by wearing blackface. What were you doing, YouTube? There's difference from having different opinions, and then there's that. What? Come on. There's no excuse for that. But again, if we had this person registered where everyone knew who he was or she, it would be different because then your hate speech wouldn't be the same. There are creators out there who have 3 different profiles, and one of them is deliberately to attack a certain race. Who the fuck does that?
A sick person.
Yeah.
What's that?
A sick person. They're mentally ill.
Or they just like to cause drama to people. We've heard it. People, I have a troll account. I have an account where I get to attack people and no one knows it's me. Well, what if we changed that? What if we took away your ability to have a troll account? What if we made it all just on you? And the freedom of speech doesn't get taken away. You say anything hateful you want, but at least we'll know who you are from now on. We'll see you. No more hiding. No more being someone you're not. We'll know where you work. We'll know who you are. Still want to say that dumb shit? And I know a lot of people will be like, well, you really can't tell a person where they work because, you know, that's doxing a person and all that. And to a certain degree, I agree. So you can put in the corporation you work for. You don't got to say which one you do. But now that corporation knows who you are and they're paying attention to you, right?
Yeah. And a lot of companies already, I know when you go into like higher employment and what have you, a lot of companies do a...
yeah, but they have fake accounts. That's my point.
Yeah,
they
no, and
they're hiding behind.
I do think that what you proposed, it wouldn't happen overnight, but within like a month.
No,
that
would take a decade.
Yeah, well, I always think it's funny because, I worked customer service for a while, and I knew, people get a lot more bold when they're on the other side of that desk. And whenever someone would really start to get out of line, I'm a big boy. I'm a big old boy. And I would walk on the other side of that desk because I knew as soon as we got that bit of furniture out between us, we could start having a civil conversation because their attitude would change because there's just that whole dynamic of when you have to look someone in the face and you're no longer looking at them as just pixels on a screen or just the face of a corporation, but you actually get to see the person. You can start to have a better conversation. Man, I think some of these beefs that people have online would go away if you took that anonymity away and you said, let's sit down in a room and have that conversation. Would you say the things that you say online to someone to their face? And here's the thing. If you can't do that, if you wouldn't say it to their face, then you shouldn't say it at all.
I'll say this, and I'll keep it quick because I want to get on the last topic, and it's exactly what Luke said. I won't go into the whole story. Someone ran a lot of shit talk online, said that if they saw me, they were going to kick my ass. And that I was a big pussy. And no one realizes how big I am until you see me in person. Like, I am actually a lot bigger than I look. Right, Luke? Luke's met me in person.
Yeah, he's short, but he's built a little bit like a little stocky little.
I'm 5'11". I'm not short.
That's short. That is short. 5'11" short, man.
All right. Okay, so
I'm 6'4". I'm 6'4", so.
Yes.
I'm 6'2", so you're the shortest guy here.
Okay, so I'm shorty, okay? So there's this guy who's running his mouth. Didn't realize we were going to be at the same show. So that last morning of the show, I knew he had been there, but I didn't want to get thrown out before the end of the show. So I behaved myself for 2 days. And on the last day, I walk up with my friend. I walk right down the aisle. And I yell, "Hey, motherfucker, come hit me." In the middle of the aisle. I won't go into the rest of it. I didn't hit him because he said he was going to hit me. So I was like putting my face out. Like, go ahead, teach me that lesson. Like taunting him. Everyone just looking like they can't look away and they're giggling and they know it's bad. And I'm like, hit me. Come on, teach me my lesson. Needless to say, he packed up within an hour. I heard he was gone because I was like, at the end of the show, I'll know you're worried to get kicked out. I'll wait for you outside. He packed up and left. And it's like Luke said, people don't expect that because anyone who knows me knows I'm loud. I'm obnoxious in person. I'm worse. And I've had people come on my show and they go, I've talked to you online. And then when I talk to you in person on a stream, you're so much quicker with your responses. And I don't have any spelling mistakes that someone can giggle at and try to attack. My dyslexia is not as prevalent in a conversation. And my intelligence comes even faster. And they're like, yeah, I can't. I didn't expect you to come at me so quickly, but the one thing I am is very human. If someone apologizes 90% of the time, I go, okay, so you want to try that again? You want to try being, like Luke said, you want to try being a human? Like he's talked about. I worked in retail. I've had people yell at other associates, and I've told them, stop it. Don't assume she's not a human being. Look back at her, realize she's a human, and then tell me what your problem is, and I'll help you solve it. And I find that in retail, that's not a lot of shit, because I do think they see the badge, the name tag, and they feel like you're a corporate. And I completely agree with Luke. But one last thing I do want to talk about, and this is getting out of hand. If you get into a verbal agreement, you hire someone, if you have a contract with someone, if you tell someone you're going to hire them for work and money is exchanged, and then you back out of that contract, you are an unethical poor business. And this is something that I've seen throughout my whole career. And I was talking about this recently. I don't know what's wrong with the creators right now, but I saw it passed around today, and I'll actually show it to you. And for some reason, a lot of the creators who are showing up right now, they don't take the time to even consider what they're doing. They're very rude. They think that they don't have to follow the ways that we've all done things. And we all get screwed in this business, don't get me wrong. We all get screwed at points with some of the things that go on. But this was egregious. This is people just like, oh, well, I don't want to wait anymore. You agreed to a actual contract. Well, I don't want to do the art anymore. It's not what I want to do anymore. You agreed to a contract. I don't want to continue to do my series because I'm bored with it and I didn't make it. Again, you had a contract. You fulfill your contract. I don't understand why creators suddenly don't think they have to live up to what they're saying. Luke, you want to start this one?
Sure, yeah. I'll talk about this. This actually just happened to me recently. Now, I'm not going to say names and throw people under the bus because that's not what I do. But when you're working with a creator, this industry is very small, especially with the independent stuff. And so you're going to cross people on your way up, and you're going to cross them again on your way back down, because we all do that. We all go up, we all go down. And at different points in your career, you're going to encounter these people. And what's happened is some of these people will burn a bridge on their way up. They will get the title, they will get the badge, they'll get whatever that project they're working on will do really well. And the ego will come in there, or they will get picked up with that publisher that is doing well, and something will happen, and the attitude changes. Well, when you have an agreement with someone, whether it's in writing and signed, or whether it's been verbal and over Facebook through Messenger or things like that, but when deadlines are set, when agreements are made and money has exchanged hands and jobs have begun, just because you change your mind doesn't mean you have the right to cancel those agreements. Yeah. And when you do, like, many of us are very professional. Like, I had someone do that, and so what I did is I went ahead and I refunded, deleted my work that I did, passed on some of the work that I had paid for to get the job moving a little bit further, and did a refund. But that person's never going to work with me again. Like, in no situation or setting am I ever going to work with that individual again. They burned a bridge with that. And pay your people, pay them on time, and hold to the agreements. When you set a deadline, that's the deadline. Don't expect that, if you're not delivering, if someone has set a deadline for you, deliver on the deadline, on or before the deadline that they've given you. If you set a deadline for somebody, don't just out of nowhere say, oh, you know what? I decided I wanted to change that deadline. And I feel you should have the job done already. You set a deadline and people will work to that deadline. Because here's the thing, within the art industry, with what we do, most of us work freelance, and we do work for more than just one or two people. Like Michael, I don't know if you know this, but your artist works for other people besides you, right?
Oh, absolutely. He has
right.
He as we've talked about this a little bit. I upped his page rate and everything like that to make him exclusive, and Elysian Fields has taken precedent as per a contract that we set up. But he has plenty of other clients, and sometimes he'll even let me know. It's like, hey, I'm kind of swamped with some other work, and they have me on a deadline. And he'll communicate that to me, which is fine because, once again, he understands that we are in a contract where the Elysian Fields work takes precedent. And so if he has other work that he needs to get done and what have you, I'm not going to be like, oh, no, you have to do this, because he's communicated that to me. He's got other clients. They have deadlines and everything too, and I'm not going to make him lose any of his professional things. But when it comes down to a contract, I feel like the only time that a contract can be shut down is if there is a mutual agreement that things just aren't working. Like, let's say I came in for Terraform and was doing a series, and people just weren't liking it, and there were we both kind of sat down and it was just like, this isn't working. And then we both kind of amicably shake hands and we're like, we'll finish printing this. But if there was anything that was supposed to extend outside that contract, it's null and void. Outside of what was initially set up or what have you, and it was written in paper, that was null and void because the series just didn't sell, and it wasn't there just wasn't a mesh with the creative teams of this, that, the other. That's the only time. But But just kind of, I don't want to get into too personal because it ticked me off, because I'm a professional. I deliver on deadlines when people ask me to. Anyone that's worked with me, that knows that, they say, okay, this is what I can produce work pretty quickly. But at the same time, if you produce good work, it takes a minute to get that done. You don't want to rush things. Absolutely.
You can get it fast, you can get it good, or you can get it cheap. You can get two of those three. You can't get all three. So that's kind of the thing. So.
Yeah. So the basic idea here, guys, is if you're under contract, if you've made agreements, it's up to you to fulfill both ends. It was up to Luke to perform what he had to do. And he seemed to be, stop me if I'm wrong, but you were on track, weren't you?
Oh, yeah, I was on track. Actually, their work probably would have been completed this week, because it doesn't take long to do a few pages. The hardest part is getting through the flats and things like that, and then figuring the first couple of pages. Like, I do a lot of coloring, but it's a coloring job. And now,
You're also the person you had to do the flats no longer is going to get credit in the book, more than likely. Their work's going to go unsung. This is just, you don't understand it. I've had it where I'm going to have a Kickstarter next week where there's going to be unfinished projects in there because artists just couldn't hit deadlines and I had to remove them from a product, or even worse, they just disappeared. And the one that disappeared, I won't even put their name on the art. That's how bad that relationship was. And I won't tell the whole truth behind the story because I'm ethical. But if anyone asks me in private about that person, I burn bridges for him because I don't want my friends being screwed over like I was. Trust me, you're going to get known for what you're doing. You run your mouth, you try to cause people trouble, you're going to get known for it. A lot of people like to point out, well, Rob, you went after Dirk Manning. Rob, you went after Marcel Dupree. Point out someone I've gone after who I didn't do the homework for, that I didn't have pages of evidence for, the fact that there wasn't really a big problem there. And you're going to find yourself twiddling your thumb trying to explain to people why you're trying to pick a fight, because that's just the truth. Daddy does his homework. I make sure I know what I'm talking about. How many of you do that?
Daddy.
How many of you actually spend your time getting to know something? I know everyone suddenly, it's funny on Facebook. This year, we've seen constitutional scholars. We've seen civil rights historians pop up on Facebook. Doctors for COVID. The wildfires had everyone telling us that they were experts on the fucking the global warming. But end of the day, not one of them has solved any one of those problems other than just causing more noise. So here's what I want everyone to do. Stay to what you know. That's it. Real simple. Stop talking about shit above your price, above your pay grade, because you really show it on social media. No one cares that you think COVID's caused by 5Gs, because we have these things called scientists who went to school who are telling us differently. If you think the earth is flat, by God, sell your house and go find the edge. Please go find the edge. Do it for us all. I appreciate you. Go find the edge. We're going to do a couple quick comments on our way out, and then we're going to tell everyone where they can find us. Travis Gibbs said you are live. That was probably from the very beginning of the show when I was having trouble. Pops Van Zandt says a good book sells itself. Absolutely not true, Pops Van Zandt. Absolutely not true. If you think a book can sell itself, you don't know what a book is. It can't talk. It needs marketing around it. It needs to be in people's hands. It takes more than just creating a book.
I'll say this. I love Pops. Okay. We've had some great conversations. But I'm telling you, I disagree with him on that one too. People say my work speaks for itself. Well, you've got to speak for your work too. You really do, because there's so much out there. There's so much noise. It has to rise above it. And everybody thinks they have the next best book that sells itself. And people are investing in the creators as much as they are the IPs. And so get your personality out there, let people get to know you, and speak on behalf of your work. And then your work will reflect what you've spoken for.
All right. And he also said Adam Fields worked on this book. I've been promoting it since the relaunch. I have no idea what he's talking about there. Apparently someone worked on a book.
It was on I think the zombie book. So all of these kind of happened throughout the stream, and we were kind of in a lot of things. I know that his next one is talking about his Facebook promo page for indie projects called Comic Book Madness.
Yeah, I don't see all the comments. I apologize. There's something up because I had computer issues. The comments only came up about 5 minutes ago for me.
Yeah,
fighting with some computer issues. I don't even have that next one you're talking about. I'm seeing it tripled up on my page, so clearly something's off on my end. I do have something from Travis Gibbs who says he has an 18-year-old daughter. It's very hard to find an 18-year-old attractive out of respect for my daughter. I think that's a personal thing. I'll be honest, I find a lot of 18-year-olds attractive, and sometimes here's a really scary thing for you guys to think about for a moment. A lot of those models that you guys see that you might be Googling, especially in the Victoria's Secrets, a lot of them are 16, 17, and 15. Keep that in mind, gentlemen. That's what's being promoted to you. It's just the truth. Look at actresses on television, too. There's that new Stargirl. She's a 17-year-old. I went to INDEE, got her real age. I was just like, I want to know if I have to worry about myself. Turned out she was 20, and I'm like, okay, I don't feel so bad. But we're shown very young women in, there's a Mother Nature aspect to that, and we'll get into that in another show. But there's a reason, men's fertility and the horniest point of a man's life is at 18. There's a serious reason for that. Okay, we got one more. Trico says, I'm 5'11" too. We are kind of short. I am not short. I will knock any bigger motherfucker out, and we'll see how big they look at 12 inches. How is it being 12 inches as you're looking up at me? No, I don't know. I'm not short. I'm medium. I'm like the Three Little Bears. I'm the middle bear. I'm the middle room. I'm the perfect one. I don't hit my head on shit, and I'm low enough to get the smart talk or low enough.
For all of our listeners, this is what delusion sounds like.
I'm fine with that. Luke's lying about 6'4". I'm taller than Luke. Meredith says, I'm listening in the background while I get some work done. All right, so that's it, kids. We're a little over what I want it to be. We're trying to do these. We're trying to keep them down to an hour because the evil. Supposedly, we're going to start having our network caps back in just what is it, tomorrow? Right? Tomorrow's the network caps return. So
I'm gonna take your word for it, man. I don't know what's that all about.
Internet, where if like for me, I have high streaming service. I'm only allowed, I think, like 2 terabytes of data a month through my thing, and then I have to pay per every gigabyte I use. It's like 90
okay.
And even on your phone plans, you have unlimited, sort of. You have unlimited up to 16 gigabytes, but then we're going to slow your shit down. That's all returning supposedly tomorrow. No company has said they're not reinstating them. They did say they were instating them, so we're going to have to see tomorrow. So I'm trying to get all my shows down to 1 hour. We got close. 15. Max is crazy. He's like running around like a crazy man. So we're out. Tell everyone where they can find you guys, because I got an intro to leave with.
You want to go first? They want me to. It doesn't matter. All right, I'll go. Michael Oden, creator, writer of Elysian Fields. You can find us on Indiegogo, where our book is currently in demand. Trying to hit that 10K before it goes out of in demand. So going ahead and get your copies of the book. We're doing that live unboxing here tonight at 9 p.m. on Indie Vault. Otherwise, you can find me on Facebook under my name, Michael Oden. Nine Realms Publishing on Facebook as well. You can follow us there, and on Twitter, you can follow us, like us, and what have you at Elysian Fields _0. Take it away, Luke.
Yes, my name is Luke Stone. You can find me at lukestonstudios.com. You can also find me over at terraformcomics.com. That is TRAFORMCOMICS comics.com. And please go over there, sign up for the mailing list so you can get all of the news and updates on all of the great creators we're working with. We have some new news that hopefully we'll be putting out here in the next week or so for everyone that's happening with Terraform. And you can also find my book, Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, on Indiegogo. It is in demand right now. And I have one set of the first printing of that book now left. And the next printing will have the Terraform logo on there. So we're excited about that.
Mr. Anderson is the unboxable advocating creator known as the Devilish Comics creator who will tempt you with his devilish tales. He creates books about fetish, monsters, and more, and offers free spanks and hugs. He also teaches morals with farts. Check out the Comics Devil by going to MrAnderson.com. Remember to be kind and share.